Hello, friends, and
And
welcome
welcome.
to my today's lecture on the major themes dealt with in To the Lighthouse by Virginia Woolf. To the Lighthouse is a 1922-27 novel by Virginia Woolf. The novel recalls childhood among the childhood emotions and highlights the adult relationships. Among the books, many tropes and themes are those of loss, subjectivity, the nature of art, and the problem of perception. There are many themes that have been actually dealt with in the novel, including complexity of experience, complexity of the human relationships, time, the meaning of life, the nature of interior life, art and beauty, gender, etc. Let's discuss some of these major themes a little in detail. First, I'll be talking about time as a major theme in the novel To the Lighthouse. Now, To the Lighthouse explores time at every scale, tracking the intricate thoughts and impressions within a single lived second, while also meditating on the infinity of geological time stretching back into the past and forward into the future, beyond the span of human knowledge. Now, between these two extremes of the past and future, the novel presents the different measures of time out of which individual experience is composed. For example, in part 1 is the window and part 2 the lighthouse occur almost in real time as the action described takes place within a period more or less equivalent to the period of time it takes to read the section. Now, within these two sections, each character's perspective picks up an immense range of detail, and the observant, Mrs. Ramsay and Lily Briscoe, they are especially conscious of the unique specificity of each moment. The novel also explores the vacation time of the Ramsays and their guest, for whom the scenes of the novel are lived within a break from their normal lives in London and the circular, ritual time of communal activity and habit as the characters repeat the daily routines of walks and dinners, react to one another in predictable ways, and repeatedly profess long held opinions. Now, zooming out from the daily life, To the Lighthouse reflects on time's larger framework as Mrs. Ramsay considers the irretrievable time of childhood, and she, along with Mr. Ramsay and Lily, confront human tininess in the course of Earth's existence. Yet, Mrs. Ramsay and Lily believe that it is possible to make something permanent out of the moment, and thus Lily paints to, paints to partake of eternity as Mrs. Ramsay orchestrates the lived experience until it becomes as transcendent as art. Now, in part 2, Time Passing, the real time of the window accelerates to breakneck the speed, and the section spans a whole decade in just a few pages. Without much attention to detail, this view on time lacks the particularity and complexity of time in the window and is characterized only by a bare bones framework of events. Thus, the enormity of Mrs. Ramsay's Prue's and Andrew's deaths and of World War One are reduced to one sentence parentheticals. As committed as it is to capturing an experience of lived time, To the Lighthouse is just as interested in the relics that linger after experience, and the novel holds up many different forms of memory. Now, there is the history book memory of impartially and sparely recounted event as demonstrated in the bullet like plot points of part 2, time passing. There is the circular memory. Mrs. Ramsay has thinking back on her youth, recognizing in her children's youth their own future memories, and feeling life to be a cycle of marriage and childbearing passed on from generation to generation. There is the living memory of Mrs. McNam and Lily as the recollected images of Mrs. Ramsay appear visible on the surface of the present world. Now, To the Lighthouse ultimately demonstrates the inadequacy of clock time to measure human experience. Life is not felt. Woolf shows second by orderly second. Instead, 1 minute seems to drag on an eternity while the next 2 decades speed by. One is 1 second aware of a human lifespan as a long, luxurious stretch, and the next second perceives it to be an infinitesimal fraction of Earth's much more enduring existence. Memories return in the present and live on, sometimes seeming never to have passed. Now, that's all for now. I'll be coming up with more themes in my next lecture. Till then, goodbye and thank you.